Well, there may be medal-winning women on Team GB, but figures suggest that outside of professional sport, there are more men than women getting involved.
Yesterday, the Sports Minister, Helen Grant, suggested that some women and girls aren't taking part because they see it as unfeminine. She thinks there should be a wider spread of sports available, including cheerleading and ballet.
Well, earlier on Breakfast, the Olympic silver medalist Sharon Davies explained why participation is important.
We need to have great role models. We need to give choices to young girls. We also need to show them that, you know, the habits that they have when they're younger, they carry for the rest of their lives. And they are worried about the way they look. They're worried about their weight. You know, this is all part of it. So if we can encourage them to keep sport into their life, it's much easier to carry on with it than it is to come back to it. You know, and I see many mums at my son's school, and they're all doing circuit classes. They're going off for little jogging classes. They're going to the gym. So they do come back to sport. We just have this big problem around the sort of 15, 16, 17 where we lose their interest. And that's what we've got to work on.
Sharon Davies there. Well, we're joined on the sofa by Jo Riches, who played and coached women's rugby. Welcome, Jo. And Karen Keohane, who's the director of a street games charity. Welcome to you both. Karen, let's start with you. From hearing what Sharon said there and what other comments have been made about how perhaps some girls just feel too self-conscious to play the really raucous or really active sports, should there be more encouragement to push them elsewhere but to keep them active?
I think what the Minister was saying yesterday is that there needs to be a really broad offer of sports available to girls, because there is a gender gap in sport, and so therefore to encourage all girls to take part in sport, we need lots of different types of opportunity. The great thing about sport is that there is actually something for everyone, so there's through to the fitness-based sports, through to the traditional team sports, there is something for everyone, and we need to really sort of recognise that breadth, because that is what's great about sport.
Your charity's Us Girls,
yes,
been in existence for, what, 3 years now?
Yes.
So why start it in the first place? What was the problem?
Yeah, I mean, Us Girls was started and funded by Sport England as a response to the fact that there was a gender gap in sport, and more acutely in areas of disadvantage. So Us Girls was funded good £2.5 million from Sport England to tackle the gender gap in sport in areas of disadvantage. So the first thing we did was talk to the girls and find out, you know, what sort of opportunities they wanted. If, you know, I'm a sporty woman, and my natural inclination would have been to provide tennis, badminton, football, the things I'm familiar with. But when you talk to the girls, there's a real breadth of opportunity and things they ask for. And there's you know, when we started our programme, we looked at fitness-based activities, dance, a wide sort of variety of programme, because if we had have just offered traditional team sports, we wouldn't have got the numbers we needed. So we needed to offer a really broad offer, which included all sports.
Jo, tell us what you think, because you coach and have played rugby, which isn't a game, or perhaps is one of the games that some of the Minister is referring to, that perhaps puts off some girls from playing.
My experience has been that, you know, like Karen's saying, we should have sport for everybody, whatever those sports are. And I don't think that they should be branded that rugby and football is a masculine sport and that gymnastics and cheerleading is seen as a feminine sport, because you are probably preventing girls taking the opportunities to do things like rugby and football. The girls who may not be comfortable, you know, out there in a leotard doing gymnastics because of the body shape, and they might find that rugby is something where, you know, they can excel. I mean, we do have a variety of girls that play with different abilities and different body shapes, and you know, you've got some really strong girls who could end up, we've had girls who've come and joined and ended up playing prop for England and things like that.
I suppose one of the dangers, sorry Naga, one of the dangers of a minister kind of naming sports, sort of pointing in directions, is that can add to the stereotyping, can't it? Because if you start saying, well, what about things like cheerleading, or what about, then if you hear that and you're thinking, well, I won't look at rugby, I won't look at football, because you start getting pointed in a certain direction. Yeah. And that's compounding the problem, isn't it?
Absolutely, we don't want stereotyping in sport. We don't want certain sports seen as feminine sports and others as masculine sports. That is not my experience, you know, like I was saying, of what happens out there in the community. You go into all types of different sports, and there's all types of different girls taking part. So we must protect that there isn't stereotyping in sport. And we've worked so hard to create equal opportunities in you know, your footballs, your rugby's, your crickets for women. And we absolutely need to do more of that. That's really important. But at the same time, we need to create more opportunities in all the other sports as well, because we need to close that gender gap.
There is a flip side, though, isn't there, which is what the Minister was addressing. But there are girls who are very conscious of how they look, be it through pressure through the media, magazines, whatever, films, and want to look a certain way or feel very self-conscious about being hot and sweaty. So by offering these alternatives, which appear more feminine, they can get the exercise they need, but still feel as if they are being feminine and keeping their looks, which, whether or not you think is important to them at this moment in time. Surely that provides a different and much needed opportunity.
I mean, absolutely. Some of the opportunities we create throughout the country, I mean, we've done a lot of work with some really good cheerleading companies who produce fantastic, strong, confident role models. So that opportunity, the breadth of that opportunity, and is really important to girls. So we create opportunities for all types of girls to be involved in sport. So it is the breadth of opportunity which we need to protect and provide more of.
Sorry to interrupt. How much of a problem do you think men are in the equation, as in dads? I mean, who are looking at their kids and they'll push their boys to do sport. But do you think that is an issue? Is there an issue there?
I've been into schools coaching, and I can count only one time when one of the parents knew that the daughters were going to be involved in rugby, where they didn't want their daughter to do it, but the others have always been very encouraging. I mean, what is great is that with rugby, you can play touch rugby in the summer, and you can play with a mixed team where the men and women are actually playing together a game of rugby, you know, and that is breaking down the barriers.
Karen, what do you think? Is there a problem there with being perpetuated in a way by...
Obviously, there's lots of different cultural communities in the UK where there's lots of different complex issues about family relationships. But, I mean... My experience is that we just need to create that sport's a very positive thing, and we start to understand some of those complex issues we were talking about in terms of body image and self-esteem, and that we do that together. We can't just one sort of like sport do it, the media needs to do it. Parents and families and dads need to be encouraged to really value sport and the strong female role models it creates.
Look at the female models we have, just briefly. We've got Jessica Ennis, we've got Rebecca Adlington. Both have had very specific body issues highlighted. What do you think they say to women, young girls at the moment? Positive role models, or victims, as Rebecca Adlington has been, of criticism of their body?
Yeah, I think it's a real problem, and I think as the industry we're really aware of this sort of these strong women who've achieved so much and yet worrying about their body image. And as an industry, we've been talking about fit and not thin, and that's what we need to really
get to leave it there. Thank you both very much.
Thank you. That's all from Breakfast this morning. John and Catherine will be with you tomorrow morning from 6 o'clock from us there. So goodbye.
Bye-bye.